Hi everyone, Angus Campbell here. Saturday the 1st of Flaming June. Lovely day here today. Done some stuff outside just after midday now, and coming back to finishing off stripping this primary case. And where we left off last time was that I didn't think there was a thread for an extractor on the clutch hub, but having investigated this further and having had a good look at the clutch hub, then indeed there is a thread, and I found the correct extractor too. Let me set up so I can try and show you, because it's not immediately obvious at all, and it's so many years since I had an A65 Lightning that I'd forgot. So I'll bring you back in a sec, and I'll try and show you what I mean and why I had some difficulty. Okay everyone, so here's the clutch hub, and inside the centre there you can see there's a ridge or a shoulder, and it's actually inside that shoulder that there's a thread for an extractor. And you're right, that the depth of that thread and the depth of that shoulder, doesn't appear to be anything at all. It's only a few turns, to be honest. I would estimate 3/16 of an inch, 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch deep maximum. Anyhow, the thread is there, and I've also found from all the pullers that I got out last night, I got these three out. They're wrong, they're too big, because we need the smaller one for that to get inside that shoulder, and this is the one here. So we'll set up now, and we'll get on with this job and finish it off. So hopefully this should be a short one. Ha ha. Okay, so what we need to do then is make sure the central bolt on the extractor is screwed all the way out, and then we should be able to screw the extractor in, and we can. And that's it. So I estimate that's probably 2 turns maximum. Now you might think that that's not going to be very strong, but there's a key misconception about these extractors, and that is that once you've screwed the main body of the extractor in, then the bolt you just obviously offer up to the inner shaft, and there it is now, and then you put a spanner on there and you just keep turning. Well, that's not the case at all. What you should do is put quite a bit of tension on this bolt, and then give it a bloody good whack, and then screw it again, give it another whack. And the reason is that if you do just carry on trying just to screw this out, you will strip the thread. And because this is a plain, what we're trying to do here is draw the hub off a plain taper with a woodruff key placement. And plain tapers, it's not a spline, this is a plain taper. Plain tapers can be very strong, so that's why you've got to shock it too. So the first thing we'll do is just make sure that not quite, what's that, an inch? That's the largest spanner I've got, so we'll have to go on the adjustable for that. And at the other end it's going to be around about a half by the look of it. No, it's bigger than that. It's 5/8. So therefore 9/16. Bingo, 9/16 it is. So what we'll do is just make sure this is nice and tight on that shaft, like so. But we're not just going to keep turning this now and put a load of effort into this. We're going to take that off. And we're going to get a stout metal hammer, lump hammer. Now this is a bit backwards for me because I'm not left-handed. give it a clout, and then we should be able to get another turn on it. Okay, I need a quarter of a turn or so. I'm just going to keep doing this. Ooh, I think she's gone. Here she comes. She's cracked. So there you go, simple as that. So what we can do now, we've got to be a little bit careful here, because remember the stator wire is still there, which we don't want to damage. The crank, the sprocket is coming off with it. We've got a bit of room here. And there you go. Take the sprocket out. Take the clutch about, full clutch, and then we can take this chain. So there we are, done. We can also slide out the primary chain tensioner. Right, first thing, primary chain tensioner's got ridges in it. So it looks a little warm, but it's not bad. I've seen a lot worse. However, what I did notice when I slackened off the tension yesterday by the tensioner bolt here is that tensioner bolt was, well, firstly, it was quite a long way up on its thread. But secondly, what I did notice as well is that there's supposed to be a rubber cushion, sort of it's a rubber bush really, that cushions the slipper tensioner against the top of the tensioner adjuster bolt, and that wasn't there. So obviously that would mean that you'd be screwing the bolt in further on. So I'm pretty confident that this chain is going to be serviceable, and it was in oil, which is good, and it does look in good condition. It's probably stretched a bit, but that's okay as long as it's within the limits of the tensioner. I'm not worried. The second thing that I did notice yesterday, and I forgot to mention on film, is that when we got the primary cover off quite easily with a couple of taps, what I didn't mention was there's no gasket. Nothing whatsoever on the faces. There didn't even appear to be any gasket go either. So that might be one reason why there was quite a bit of oil on the back of the engine. However, the good news is that there was oil in the chain case still. The chain is oiled, there's nothing dry in there, so that's pretty good news. That's pretty lucky, to be honest. So what we can deduce that this has been apart. Well, certainly the primary cover's been off. I think the rotor's been off. I've also managed to solve the mystery of the washers on the rotor nut, and that is that what they'd done is they'd put a plain washer underneath the tab washer, and those two items are correct, but it should be the other way around. So I'm right in that the tab washer should go against the rotor because it uses the rotor keyway slot as a security for the tab washer, and the thick plain washer should be outside of that before the nut. So the items are correct, they were just in the wrong order, so that's definitely been off. But other than that, again, just superficially looking at this, it's in pretty good order. Oil's a bit filthy, but what I can see here is that the crankcase cover behind the clutch, all the screws are in very good order and not mashed up. So this to me means that that's never been off. The reason this cover's here is that you can take this cover off and you can get at the main engine sprocket for the secondary drive to change that. So we will get that off at some point. However, looking at it down the tunnel at the back here, that looks to be in fairly good condition too, but we won't be able to tell definitively until we've taken this cover off. The other thing I'm looking at the moment as well is that behind the engine sprocket, I mean, incidentally, it does have holes and threads in this for a puller, but I've never known one of these require a puller. First thing about this is that the teeth are in good condition. They're symmetrical, not worn on one side, no broken teeth. However, that goes that way around, so we must remember that actually. However, behind this, there's supposed to be, firstly, a washer, and secondly, any shims to shim this up to ensure that the primary chain is in alignment between the clutch and the engine sprocket. There's no shim, which is fine. It might not need shimming, but there is no thrust washer there, and I think there should be. So we'll need to check that. So, final thing to mention before we shut off for this short one is that I was showing you the cross hatchings in the primary cover, inside primary cover, but while I was showing you this, I didn't describe or explain that what I've noticed as well is that there is some rubbing here. So something something has caught here, and it's most likely just going to be one of the studs for the clutch spring adjustment screws, which is quite common. But having said that, one explanation is that we're missing a gasket, and obviously the gasket with a bit of goo on either side of it will pull this cover out slightly. But other than that, the clutch was definitely in the right position. It was on its taper well. That was correct. So as I say, the only thing I can think of really is that we just need a little bit more clearance, which we'll get with the gasket. Looking at this cover now, there is evidence of old. It looks like red hematite stuff, but it doesn't look very effective to me at all. But anyway, definitely no gasket at all, and nothing on this side either. Okay, so that was just a quick one today, as I've got other events planned today, so it was just a quick one really, just to finish off stripping the primary case. What I did do last night as well, after I'd finished filming, was in investigating how to pull the clutch centre. Then I did take out all the clutch plates. These are in order here still, so the back is to the top, and again, superficially these look in pretty good condition. There is some wear on the tabs, and that's also evidenced by a slight roughness on the clutch grooves as well. But we will do a bit more of an examination of this clutch hub. But again, the teeth are in good condition and there's no teeth missing. So I'm minded just to dress that, because I think that's going to be okay. But anyway, that's it. I'll stop rambling on, everybody. Just thought you'd be interested in us getting that job done. More progress, and what we'll do in the next episode is we'll turn our attention to the timing side and get the inner timing cover off. Before that, I will take this cover off here because we want to get at the engine sprocket and remove that, because once we've got the inner timing cover off on the other side, we can actually extract the gearbox from the other side in one piece, which was a feature of the A65s. You could take the gearbox clusters out, the whole gearbox internals out in one, attached to an inner plate, which we should find on the timing side. So that's it, quick update. Thanks very much for watching, everybody, and might get on to the timing side tomorrow, so keep your eyes peeled. Thanks again, everyone. Cheers. Have a good weekend. Sun shining.